Good evening. We are interrupting regular programming with breaking news out of the Black Sea region. At approximately 4:50 this morning, Ukrainian forces executed what military analysts are already calling one of the most devastating precision strikes of this conflict. A massive Russian convoy carrying an estimated $500 million in critical repair materials for the Crimean Bridge has been completely destroyed in a chain reaction explosion so powerful it was visible from space. 30 trucks loaded with custom hydraulic parts and industrial oxygen are now nothing but molten slag burning at 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit. Putin's Christmas deadline to fix that bridge just went up in flames. What you are about to hear will change your understanding of modern warfare. Stay with us. Just minutes before the explosion, at 4:44 a.m. local time, a Ukrainian F-16 pilot, known only by his call sign Ghost, lifted off for what would become a legendary mission. This was not his first strike against the Crimean Bridge. According to sources within the Ukrainian military, this same pilot successfully delivered American-made glide bombs through the bridge deck just last week. Most pilots would have flown home to enjoy a well-earned rest. Ghost reloaded. This morning's target was not the bridge itself. It was the convoy of materials Putin desperately needed to repair the damage. 30 KAMAZ trucks sat bumper to bumper at a security checkpoint near the Taman approach, carrying custom hydraulic couplings and enough industrial oxygen to level a small city. These were not ordinary parts. They were custom-engineered components smuggled through a maze of international sanctions. Replacing them would take at least 6 months. Dense fog blanketed the region, visibility near zero. For any other mission, these conditions would force cancellation. But for Operation Sky Salt, the weather was perfect. High above the checkpoint, 8 Ukrainian Dovebush heavy drones cruised silently at 15,000 feet. Think of these not as simple quadcopters, but as delivery trucks of the sky. At the precise moment, their cargo bays opened and released 48 fixed-wing glider drones into the airstream. Once deployed, these small aircraft snapped their wings open and rode the wind currents toward the target, saving battery power like a car in eco mode. Below them, skimming just 50 feet above the whitecaps to hide in the radar shadow, Ghost pushed his F-16 through the fog at nearly the speed of sound. Under his wings hung 4 GBU-39 small-diameter bombs. The target sat 15 miles ahead. Standing between the Ukrainian forces and that convoy was Russia's most formidable air defense system, the S-400 Triumph. This system can track 300 targets simultaneously and creates a 250-mile no-fly zone. On paper, it should have made this mission impossible. The Russian operators watched their screens light up, but something was wrong. Instead of 48 small plastic drones, their systems showed what appeared to be an entire squadron of heavy bombers. The Ukrainian motherships were using advanced electronic warfare technology, making cheap plastic gliders appear as massive aircraft. The radar screen looked like a Christmas tree having a seizure. The Russian commander was no fool. He recognized the jamming immediately. He knew that keeping his main radar active would broadcast his position to every anti-radiation missile in the Black Sea. So he made a ruthless call. He killed the main radar and passed the fight down to his panzer units guarding the checkpoint. His order was simple: switch to thermal cameras and find them. But here's where physics betrayed the Russians. The dense fog acted as a thermal blanket, scattering heat signatures. These glider drones have no hot jet engines. To a thermal sensor, they were essentially flying ice cubes. The Panzer crews were staring at gray static, desperately searching for ghosts in the mist. In their panic, the commander authorized a launch. 4 interceptor missiles screamed off the rails at 4 times the speed of sound, each one worth roughly $1 million. The result was catastrophic for Russia. 2 missiles lost lock immediately. One managed to clip a single glider, destroying $500 worth of plastic. Putin had just traded a Ferrari for a skateboard. Now, if you're finding this coverage valuable, take a moment to hit that subscribe button and like this video. Your support helps us bring you more in-depth reporting on the stories that matter. Now back to the action. The artificial intelligence controller aboard the Dovebush mothership issued the kill order. The 42 surviving gliders stopped drifting. They tucked their wings, pitched downward in unison and accelerated from harmless floating toys into kinetic missiles, diving straight at the Russian positions. The Russian response was ferocious. The Pantsir crews, realizing they were about to be overwhelmed, switched their cannons to maximum rate, dumping 5,000 rounds per minute into the sky. It sounded like canvas ripping apart, amplified 1,000 times. Streams of tracers crisscrossed the fog, creating a ceiling of hot steel. The first wave of 10 gliders flew straight into this wall of fire. They did not just explode, they disintegrated, but the physics of the swarm began to overwhelm the defense. A Pantsir turret can only traverse so fast. The drones were coming from every direction. One glider slipped through and slammed into a command vehicle. Another impacted the missile rails of a battery, detonating the ready-to-fire ordnance. The explosion flipped the 30-ton vehicle onto its side like a dead beetle. But the Russians had been holding back their ace. The commander screamed a code word into his headset. 4 specialized vehicles unleashed their payload, firing canisters that burst above the convoy. They released a dense, conductive aerosol cloud designed to short-circuit electronics and block radio signals. The effect was devastating. As the remaining drones flew into this metallic fog, their control links severed instantly. 20 gliders dropped out of the sky, crashing harmlessly onto the asphalt. The swarm was dead. And that left exactly one target remaining. Inside the F-16, Ghost's cockpit erupted in warning lights. The Russians had activated a passive sensor system that detected the faint electronic heartbeat of his radar altimeter. He was not just detected. He was triangulated. The S-400 battery roared back to life. 2 missiles blasted out of their tubes, accelerating to 6 times the speed of sound. These monsters were closing the 12-mile gap faster than Ghost could blink. He was alone, exposed, with 2 telephone poles of high explosives screaming toward him. Ghost yanked the stick, pulling 9 times the force of gravity. His vision tunneled. Every instinct screamed at him to eject. Instead, he did something that defied logic. He pushed the throttle forward and lit the afterburner. A 30-foot blue flame erupted from his engine. He was not running away. He was charging directly at the missiles. He needed speed for what came next. At 4.5 miles out, the missiles entered their terminal phase. Ghost screamed through his oxygen mask and pulled the stick into his gut. The F-16 snapped vertical, rocketing from sea level to 5,000 feet in seconds. This was the loft maneuver. As the nose passed 45 degrees, the flight computer calculated the release solution. 4 bombs detached from the pylons, thrown by the immense momentum of the jet, arcing toward the convoy like artillery shells. Now Ghost was naked in the sky, slow and vulnerable. The lead missile wavered for a microsecond as it hit his chaff cloud and screamed past his canopy, missing by less than 500 feet. But the second missile was smarter. It filtered out the decoys and reacquired the jet. Ghost was out of energy, out of altitude, out of options. Then 2 Dovebush motherships received their final command. They dove directly into the path of the missile, broadcasting a radar signal mimicking a massive bomber. The missile took the bait. A fireball erupted in the sky as the motherships sacrificed themselves to save the pilot. The Russian commander watched the explosion and began to celebrate what he thought was an F-16 kill. He had no idea that 4 precision-guided bombs were falling silently toward his position. The first bomb punched through the engine block of a truck carrying industrial oxygen tanks. The explosion was blindingly white. The temperature spiked to 3,000 degrees in a millisecond. Then the chain reaction began. Truck after truck erupted like firecrackers. The expanding fireball engulfed the nearby Pantsir battery, melting its radar panels like wax. From 12 miles away, Ghost watched the horizon light up like the sun rising in the wrong place. He keyed his radio, breaking silence for the first time. Delivery complete. Do not expect a tip. The mathematics of this operation tell a story that propaganda cannot hide. Ukraine spent approximately $1.3 million on fuel, bombs, drones, and the sacrificed motherships. Russia lost a convoy worth an estimated $500 million. But the real damage is time. Those custom components will take at least 6 months to replace. The Crimean Bridge, the main artery feeding the entire Russian southern front, will remain crippled. This strike proves something that should terrify military planners in Moscow. Their billion-dollar air defense network, designed to stop NATO bombers and cruise missiles, has a fatal flaw. They built walls to stop tanks but have no answer for a swarm of $500 plastic toys, combined with classic jet tactics. Ukraine has turned asymmetric warfare into an art form. They forced Russia to expend irreplaceable missiles chasing decoys, then slipped a dagger through the gap. The question now is simple. Can Russia ever fully repair that bridge, or is it destined to become the world's largest artificial reef? Military experts we have spoken with believe this single operation may have changed the trajectory of the entire southern front. Without reliable logistics through the bridge, every tank, every artillery shell, and every liter of diesel fuel destined for the trenches must now travel the long way around through muddy, partisan-infested roads. Ghost is reportedly back at base, his aircraft being refueled and rearmed for whatever mission comes next. The pilot who charged directly at incoming missiles to complete his objective has become a symbol of what modern air warfare looks like when courage meets cutting-edge technology. We will continue to follow this developing story closely. This is breaking news coverage, and we will have more updates as information becomes available. Stay tuned.